Hey guys, this lesson we're looking at percents. Should be pretty easy. We're going to convert decimals and fractions to percents, and then most importantly, we're going to get them into real life situations. So fraction to percent, you just divide the numerator by the denominator and get the decimal. You can use your calculator to make that would be your decimal, and then to convert it to a percent, you multiply by 100 and put a percent sign on there. Or you can just move the decimal. Multiply by 100 means move the decimal 2 spots. So 67 divided by 100. If you needed to, you could punch that in your calculator, but it is 0.67. That's it as a decimal. Now to make it a percent, you just move it 2 spots to the right. 67%. Or on your calculator, you type it in 67 divided by 100. And then to make it a percent, you multiply by 100 and put the percent symbol on it. 11 over 20. So if you're doing that with your calculator, that is 0.55, which multiplied by 100, or move the decimal 2 spots, you get 55%. 15 over 16. 93.75. Percent. Move it 2 spots. Change it to a percent. Decimal to a percent, we just talked about that. You just multiply by 100, add the percent sign. So it's just that last step. We don't need the calculator first, or to divide first. So multiply by 100, or just move it 2 spots. That's 14%. Multiply by 100, or move it 2 spots. That's 89.3%. Move it 2 spots, or multiply by 100, 76.25%. Percent to decimal, you put the percent over 100, remove the percent sign, that's it. Or you can just move the decimal back those 2 spots that we've been doing. So 35% means move it back 2 spots, that'd be 0.35. Or you remove the percent sign and divide it by 100. Either way, obviously gets the same answer. I think it's easier just to move it 2 spots though, which is 0.698. And this one, 1/2%. That's a little bit tricky, because 1/2 as a decimal would be 0.5. So it's 0.5%, and we're moving it 2 spots, which means it's actually going to be, as a decimal, 0.005. As you move it 2 spots to the left, it creates 2 zeros, and you get 0.005. Alright, so percent applications is going to get a little bit into like surveys and things like that. That's what this one talks about. At what age do you consider someone old? Out of the 3,496 people, 1,017 said 80 is old. What percentage of respondents believe that 80 is old? So that was 1,017 out of the total. That's the fraction. And then to change it to a percent, we just want it as a decimal first. So that is 0.2909, so that would be 29%. If you wanted to round, you could say 29.1%. Or 29% would be fine. You don't have to be that precise. According to the Department of Agriculture, the United States produced 244 million pounds of cherries. Of these, 190 were produced in Michigan, 19 million produced in Utah, 18 in Washington, 17 in other states. Determine the percent of cherries produced in each of the following. So Michigan is 190 out of 244. Utah is 19 out of the total of 244. Washington is 18 out of 244. And finally, we've got other states, 17 million pounds out of 244. So for each of these, we want the percentage, which means we're going to divide and then move the decimal 2 spots. So this would be 77.9%. Or you could sit 78 if you just want to round. And this would be, move it 2 spots, would be 7.78 or 7.8. $18 out of 244. Be 7.4%. And then 17 out of 244 for the last one. 6.96, so that would really just be like 7%. So when you're looking at percent change, you look at the amount in the most recent minus the previous. So you're trying to find how much it changed by, how much it went up or down by, over the amount in the previous period. So these two numbers are the same. And then multiply by 100 to make that be a percentage. It could be a positive or negative depending if it went up or down. If it increased or decreased, it could be positive or negative. So we're looking at percent change. 2005, most improved winning record was the Diamondbacks. 2004 they won 51, and in 2005 they won 77. So we do the latest over the previous. So the latest, 2005, there was 77 games, minus the previous year was 51. And then we divide by the previous, which is that same number, 51. Remember, we said these two are always going to be the same. So 77 minus 51. That means that they won 26 more games than the year before. The year before they only won 51, so now we divide by 51. And it went up by almost 51%. 50.98, so 51%. It's a 51% increase from the previous year. All right, same idea here. The approximately 15.7 million labor union members in 2005. This number is down from approximately 16.3 million in 2001. Determine the percent change from those 2 years. So remember, we do the most recent first, which would be 15.7. and we subtract the older number, which was 16.3, and then we also divide by that older number, that 16.3. So this one's going to be negative because it went down. It decreased from 16.3 to 15.7. So we get a negative number there. We have not yet divided, so now divide by 16.3. So that's negative, don't forget, move it 2 spots for our percentage, 3.7%. So it was a 3.7% decrease because it went down in numbers. So percent markup or markdown would be the same thing. You do the selling price minus the dealer cost over the dealer cost. Same thing where those two numbers are the same, just like on percent change. It's really what we're doing is the same thing. Positive if it's a markup, negative if it's a markdown. So they pay $48.76. So that's what they pay. That's the dealer cost. But they sell them for $79.88. And you divide by the dealer cost, which is that same number, 48.76. So that's the regular price. Now for the sale price, we're going to use that. We're just going to replace the $79.88 with the $69.99. So two-part question here. Starting with the regular price, $79.88 minus $48.76. And we divide that by 48.76. So that is a 63.8%. Moving the decimal 2 spots for your percentage, 63.8% markup. Even when it's on sale, 69.99 minus 48 divided by 48.76. Even when it's on sale, it's still a 43.5% markup. All right, so here we have a calendar. They reduced the price to $4. If their cost was $5 to determine the percent markdown. So the selling price is 4, the dealer cost was 5 over 5. Remember, those two numbers are always the same. So that's negative 1 over 5, just doing some simple math. 1 over 5 is 0.2, so this would be negative 0.2, which as a percent would be negative, move it 2 spots, that'd be 20%. You can do that on your calculator, but those numbers were pretty easy. 4 minus 5 is negative 1, obviously, over 5. There's our decimal that I said. as we went through it, and then move the decimal 2 spots to get 20%. So it's a 20% markdown. All right, so this is getting looking a little bit ahead. We're going to be doing a bunch of problems with mortgages and things like that. She needs to pay 20% of the selling price. This is the selling price. Determine the amount of Melissa's down payment. So we just need to figure out what is 20%. So that just means you multiply it by 20%. Our calculator needs decimals, so instead of 20%, we're going to say 0.20 or 0.2, and we're just going to multiply that by our total here. So in order to buy a house for $287,000, you typically need 20% down payment. There are some loans and things that don't require that, but for right now, we're just going to look at that 20% down payment. That's the standard. So we multiply 0.20 times 287,000. So that's a $57,400 down payment. All right. Chess Federation had 84,000 members. About 11,000 were considered youth. What percent were youth? So 11,000 out of the total is what we're looking at here. So here's a little shortcut. When you're typing in numbers, if they each have 3 zeros in it, you don't have to type those in. You can cancel those out. So really all we need to type in is 11 over 84. Save yourself a little bit of typing, especially when my calculator sometimes doesn't like accepting my button presses. 11 over 84 is 13 or 0.1309, which would be 13.1% if we round that. That 09 would round to 1. 13%, 13.1%. All right, here we're looking at the population of India. It says that 337,567,000, or 31% of India's population is under 15 years of age, 15 years old. So what is the approximate population? So this is saying that this is 31%. We don't know the total. But that is 31%. So we don't know what the total is. Well, that would go underneath that, and that's how we would find our percent. It would actually be our decimal, though, so change it to a decimal. And that's really, this is all we're trying to solve out. So to solve this, you can say this is over 1, and then you're really just cross-multiplying. So that's 0.31t equals 337,567. And then we would divide by 0.31. So that means our total is this number, 10889. 25806. And if you want to insert your commas into here. So that's a little bit over 1 billion people. All right, that's it. Go ahead and complete your worksheet that goes with this. You can find it in the Files section of the Teams page. If you have questions, you can comment right below this where I have this video posted on our Teams page. And if you want to do the YouTube thing, like and subscribe, go ahead. And I will see you in the comments. Bye.